Thank you once again, Byron, for this opportunity to share with you. So before I even start, a reminder about our very, very amazing Plumbing Industry Awards that will be coming up on the 28th of July. If you haven't gone to nominate yet, please go and nominate. There are 3 categories to nominate, and then also to register for the event. It promises to be an amazing experience. So if you need more information, you can just email marketing@ouropsa.org. So we hope to see all of you there. So just a reminder that we're still experiencing COVID, and there is an increase in people being diagnosed with COVID. So please just do all the things that you know you have to do: wash your hands, wear your masks, etc. So on to today's very exciting topic, and just to introduce myself again, my name is Mandy Keil, and together with my husband, Duncan Keil, we are UPP Group. I'm the Chief Empowerment Officer at UPP Group, and the two of us also run a coaching practice called Coach Up. Our passion is to continue to grow within ourselves and within this industry, and to pass on what we learn to others. We hope to, through what we do and through what we share, to add value to you and to empower not only individuals within our business, but within our industry, and to grow leadership through mentorship and coaching, and to help you to grow in scale and profitability as well. So on to today's topic. Last week, I spoke to you guys about client relationships, and in the Q&A session, Steve mentioned that, he spoke about the importance of making sure that our staff are in alignment with what we are saying to our clients out there. As a business owner, you go and you communicate a message to your client about what your plumbing business is, about what they're going to experience and the benefits of using you. But what happens if your team doesn't follow through? If your client's experience is not consistent with your message? Now, in my experience, and based on years of also coming across challenges, and that made myself and Duncan go out and explore what the reason for this disconnect is. There's a lot of information that we've come across, but if I had to consolidate it into 2 main areas, it all boils down to, number 1, building a great team, having the right people in your business. And number 2, it's about your leadership, how you lead your team and how you ensure a great company culture within your business. Today, I'm going to be focusing on building a great team. This is going to be a 2-part session. So in next week's session, I'm going to talk to you about your leadership and how that is required in building a great company culture. But for today, let's focus on our teams. So let's move into the session. So if I had to, I often have found myself in networking events, and in those networking events, and it's not only with business owners within our industry, within the plumbing industry, I'm referring to business networking opportunities where I've engaged with people, entrepreneurs in all fields, in finance, in all kinds of things. And it always boils down to this: at some point in the conversation, we start chatting about our staff and about the challenges that we experience within what we say our company is about and what our teams go out and deliver. And there seems to be what I now term as an employee disengagement or a disconnect from what we say and what they carry out in terms of the service that is provided. Now, I am generalizing. You might have a completely different experience. Maybe you've got the best team out there. But 9 out of 10 times, this conversation always comes up. And I've just put a couple of, when I was thinking and preparing for this presentation, I just decided to jot down, just the terms, the words that I hear in these conversations. So I often hear business owners talking about how they can't. We always taught that we must work on our business, not in our business, but we feel like we can't let go of the reins because we have a trust issue with staff, because we feel like the knowledge that we have is not being transferred across. We might deal with attitudes within the team towards not just the other colleagues, but even sometimes towards us. Whatever we say, there's a pushback in terms of what we are asking or training our staff to do. There's time management issues, competition with other team members, a lack of commitment, little or no accountability, lack of productivity. And, you know, I can go on, but all of this, I think at the end of the day, results in something that is very detrimental to the business, and that is where our clients become disengaged. And the challenge with this is that when a client becomes disengaged, yes, there's a loss of sales, loss of profitability, loss of the trust in your brand. But I think what is even scarier is that half the time, once your client has disengaged, you're not even aware of it until you sit down one day and you think, I haven't heard from Jack for a while. Let me go and find out what's going on with him. And in that conversation with Jack, you then find out that he's had a consistently maybe negative experience through a lack of service, people not pitching on time, things not being done the way he had asked, not understanding what his client brief is to your business. And he's already moved on to another provider, and you've lost that client. And so what do we need to do to make sure that there is a consistency between the message we are giving to our clients, to when you're doing your social media marketing, your websites, all that messaging that you put out there about why your plumbing business is great? How do you ensure that your clients experience that once you hand that over to your staff? And whether it is your internal office staff in terms of how they communicate, or your technicians on site, how do you ensure that consistency? So what I'm going to speak about now is often referred to as the soft skills in the business. And, you know, it's not the hard technical process side of your company. But without these things, this is where I believe the disconnect happens. So if your staff is not getting it, you think to yourself, they just don't get it. Half the time it's because, guess what? They actually don't get it. Not because they maybe don't understand, or they're lazy, or they just wanting to be difficult. And yes, maybe you do have employees that in your business that might be toxic in your business, and you need to do something about that. But most of the guys in your business, I can promise you that if they understood what your business is about to you, then they would start getting it. And it starts with the core values of your business. So just ask yourself, if you had to go and ask any of your staff members now, what made up your company culture? We talk about how the core values of your business is what shapes your company culture. And your core values are the things that help you understand each other. It helps you to communicate together. It helps to create synergy, and it creates the purpose and improves team cohesion. And also it creates a sense of commitment in that workplace. Your core values is what creates your company culture. Your cultural values is what binds people together and what makes them strong and united. And so not just united with each other, but in terms of the message that you're putting out there. The only example I have to fall back on is our examples within UPP. So on the slide, under core values equal company culture, I've just jotted down what our company values are. So it's about putting company and people first, about being humbly confident, having and encourage a growth mindset within ourselves and within our team members, being a problem solver, and in showing excellence in everything that we do. So how do I get this across to my staff? Well, we have weekly sessions. Every Wednesday, we come in earlier than normal, and everybody is there. We start the same time, it's the same day, and this is what we take our staff through every single week. And it's that consistency that is so important. The next thing that they need to understand is, what is the core focus of your business? And here I'm not talking about we are a plumbing company and we provide the best plumbing service in Johannesburg. Your core focus of your business, if I had to define it, is broken into two separate components. The first is the why of your business. What is the purpose of your business? What's your passion and what's the cause that made you start up this plumbing business? Yes, it is to do plumbing, but if you are only going into work to run a plumbing company and there's no real underlying thing that drives you, that gets you up in the morning, that makes you want to make a difference in your business, in how you do things and in our industry, then that is where the first disconnect happens. So you need to go and really sit back and think about, what is your why? Your why is not just to go and replace a geyser every day. There must be a bigger reason as to what drives you. And the next thing is how you're going to do that. And this is where it comes to your technical expertise, your niche in terms of how you carry out the why of your business. And again, I'm going to refer to help you to understand what I mean by this. I'm going to refer to our UPP core focus. So our why, mine and Duncan's why, has always been about empowerment, about making a difference, about helping people grow. And so the UPP, it could stand for unlocking people's, or something to do with plumbing. But for us, the UPP is actually about unlocking people's potential. And how do we do this? We do it by empowering and connecting and inspiring women and men. So you can see it says nothing about plumbing over there. The how of how we do this is that we are passionate about designing sustainable water solutions through relationship building, education, and leadership development. So I think the first thing that I'm going to encourage you to do is to go and understand what is your why and what is your how. And you need to make it crystal clear. You need to write it down like this. And then you need to start consistently breaking this down into your teams, into your staff, meeting with them regularly, helping them to understand what this means. The next thing I'm going to speak about are the behaviors that you'll typically find within a cohesive team or a team that is not cohesive. So when I started looking at the team dynamic within our business, and trust me, everything that I'm speaking about over here is about challenges that we experienced within UPP. And yes, we have moved on a long way from where we started, but we still come across challenges within team behavior and how the team gels, etc. And we work on that weekly, like I said. But in my wanting to understand it, I started looking at the experts out there in the industry, people who speak into the whole concept of teamwork. And one of the people that I really listen to a lot in this space is a guy by the name of Patrick Lencioni. He's one of the greatest leaders out there in the field of teamwork. And he wrote a book on the 5 dysfunctions of a team. And in that book, he speaks about this pyramid that I'm going to show you now. And within this pyramid, it starts at the bottom, the foundation of the pyramid. And he talks about how if you have a dysfunctional team, almost 99% of the time, it is because of these things that I'm going to take you through now. So the first at the bottom is trust. If you don't have trust in your team, and there's an absence, we call it an absence of trust. And what do we mean by an absence of trust? This is when there's an unwillingness or fear in the group, in your team, to be vulnerable within the workspace. And what we mean by vulnerability over here is that it's about your team being able to say things within, not just to you, but within your company in general, like, I messed up, I made a mistake. I need help. I'm sorry. And the thing is that team members who aren't genuinely open about their mistakes and their weaknesses makes it impossible for you to build a strong team foundation, a foundation that is built on trust between colleagues and between yourself as well as the rest of your team. And this leads into the second thing that creates a dysfunction, and that is the fear of conflict. Teams that lack trust are incapable of engaging in unfiltered and passionate debate and conversation of ideas. They might have, when they're speaking, there might be veiled discussions or guarded comments. And if this is happening, it just means that there isn't an openness in your business where there's a free or there's a freedom to talk about the things that maybe is holding them back, or where they are not understanding what your values are about, what your focus is about, and maybe even things like your processes, etc. They just don't get it, and they don't want to. They don't want to speak about it. And it might not have anything to do with you. It might just be the experience of having come through other companies and how they interact with what they see as top management or leadership or the boss. Okay, so in next week, we'll go into this in a bit more detail. But an environment where you can talk about things is very important. And this leads into the lack of commitment. And if your team isn't, if they feel like they can't really share ideas and opinions and have open discussions, then often there is a lack of connectivity between a team or a staff, or it could be an individual person within your team. There's a lack of commitment or connectivity between them and your business. And as a result, that comes across in terms of maybe things like absenteeism, just not following processes, not just getting fully involved in helping service the client. And then that results in accountability and an avoidance of accountability. And without committing to a clear plan of action, even the most focused, driven people in your company will hesitate to not only maybe stand up and be accountable, but also if they see actions or behaviors within their team, they will hesitate to call their peers on this. In our company, I've got a saying that the team holds the team accountable. So it's not about a manager having to micromanage, etc. If we've got a healthy environment, we can sit and chat and say, hey, you know what, John, that wasn't the right thing to do. That's not how we operate. And you just have a discussion about it. And it's not about attacking each other, etc. It's a healthy discussion. So avoidance of accountability is not a great thing to obviously have in your business, and it's counterproductive to how your business then will operate. And the last thing is that all of this leads to what we refer to as an inattention to results. And by results, I'm not only referring to financial results, I'm also referring to things like poor performance, not following or living out to your job descriptions, as well as obviously ultimately that will have an impact on financial performance as well as your client engagement and your clients actually remaining your client. And then the last thing that I want to go through is just looking at how do we overcome this. So the first thing I just want to chat about again is your DNA. So just wrapping and bringing all of this together. It is your company DNA, your company culture, having that consistent training, messaging, breaking things down, workshopping your company culture, values, your core focus with your team. If you want to align your team, this is what you are going to have to do. Providing clarity as a leader in your business, the leader of your business, you need to give a very clear message and consistently in terms of what your business is about, and training your guys to carry out the services, the experience that you are communicating to to the broader community out there when you are marketing yourself. To do this, you really need to connect with them, sit down with them, help to understand where they are at. Half the time, and I was guilty of this, I would be standing up in front, training my staff, training, and nothing was changing until I started doing what we call flip the classroom. So we would workshop ideas and we'll choose a value, and I would understand what they understood by that value, and in their specific role, how could they carry out that value in what they did and how they interacted with staff and with clients, etc. And we'd really break it down. And what I found is that they had so much value within themselves to add into the business. Their diversity, we all came from different backgrounds, different experiences, and me standing and also just listening to what they had to say and their ideas, and maybe, and some of them had really great ideas, which we've implemented into the business. So really connecting with them on that level. Once you start doing that, trust automatically follows. When you're creating an environment when they can start talking openly without fear of being corrected or said no, or you start creating that trust environment. But even better, you'll start seeing them grow. They become empowered. They step up and they start taking on their responsibilities, but maybe more than taking on their responsibilities, they just take that step further. It's not just doing the basic anymore. They now start stepping up in terms of the responsibilities and start teaching maybe people that are within their teams, or it might be their plumbing assistant or someone that's, beneath them in terms of roles and responsibility, and they start mimicking what they see you doing. And that all leads back to your culture, and that creates your healthy and aligned team environment. But like I said, this goes hand in hand with you and how you create that culture and the kind of leader you are within your business. So in next week, we're going to go through that next step. Who do you need to be within your business in order to create this team alignment? Now, I just want to make one side point before I end off today's session, and that is that this all works when you start doing things like in your business, and I've spoken about this before, about using your company values when you recruit, when you reward, when you do performance management, and even we might always come across that one individual in our business that's toxic to our business. So you can do all of these things and they're still resisting. And if they are, it's because they are not in alignment. Their values are completely opposite to your company values, and there's never going to be a synergy. And then you need to use those values to go through using our labor law and the processes, the right processes to performance manage. And if you need to, then go into disciplinary to do so. Toxic people in your business is bad. And so once you have your team, your right team with the right values, you'll find that all of this starts working a lot more smoothly. And so that's it from me for today. Next week, we'll talk about what you need to do as a leader to make all of this happen.